Hello, I am Lance Rasmussen. I am the narrator for the audiobook of Winter's Prey, and I wanted to just put a little something together to express my gratitude for all of the support and donations that I know Rachel has received, and we thought it would be great to give you guys a little bit of a behind-the-scenes peek and look into the process. I'm sorry the lighting in here is bad. I'm in a basement, which is wonderful for sound, because it means that I don't have a lot of echo and stuff coming in from outside, but it means the lighting is bad. But we wanted to give you guys a little sneak peek and a little look into the studio, my workspace, my process here, and then what went into really making the Winter's Prey audiobook that you guys should very soon have access to. To begin, I can't actually flip my camera around, which is very frustrating, but this is my studio space. You'll notice that there are acoustical panels on the wall, some other things that are in the space right now. One of the big things with sound spaces is you want as many things as you can have around to bounce sound so it doesn't bounce forward and backward all the time. So you want to break up things as much as you can. We've got a lot of stuff hanging on the walls to make that happen. You can see behind me as well a very large bookshelf, which definitely helps, but that is my own passion for literature. I've been an avid reader for my entire life, and it's one of the big things that got me into recording audiobooks to begin with. To show you a little more about the actual setup itself, this is what we're looking at when I record. This is my desktop computer, and then the monitor, mouse, keyboard, and the microphone setup itself. You've got a boom arm set up, iPad behind here, which I currently have displaying the actual sections of the book, the manuscript that I have to read off of, which is taking a minute to load, but you can see that's what I'm working off of. When I record, I usually just sit right here in front of this pop screen. This serves to filter any P's. You can notice even a little movement. If I hit those and that gets into the microphone, you get a loud sound that's very not nice to hear. So that helps to filter that before we get to the microphone setup. This is a brand new microphone that we're breaking in for this project. I was fortunate enough to actually win this from an amazing company here. It's based out of Salt Lake, and I have and they have a store here in the Colorado area, in Colorado Springs, called Performance Audio, and I don't feel at all bad about dropping their name, because they absolutely made this project what it is. For any of your sound needs, please contact them. But we went an amazing microphone that I was able to get through that company, and then set it up with an audio interface, and this runs the microphone up the boom arm here, and then I have a set of stereo headphones that I use to be able to, so I can hear exactly what I sound like. Because if you use a lot of other headphones, they tend to have a bass distortion or something added in, and these are an industry standard set, but gives you pure sound so you can hear exactly what your files are going to look like, or sound like, I should say. I record using a program called Reaper. This is a current shot of what ended up being Chapter 1. If I were to start this now, you should be able to hear it. This is over just my speakers on the computer.
1883.
So I don't know if you heard that. I don't know how much of it I'm allowed to let you hear. I don't usually play it over the speakers. I usually have it on my headphones when I am actually recording. But that's what my recording software looks like. And that's the visual demonstration of the project that you are about to be able to hear. Which is really cool. It took me a little bit to get a hold of it, but it's definitely something that I really have developed a great love and passion for doing. Rachel had a couple questions that she thought might be interesting, and hopefully you'll find something interesting about them. But one of the first thing that she asked, I'm going to see if I might be able to prop up my phone here so I can just talk at you without holding it. Let's switch to that side and go right here. One of the first things she asks for me is how I got involved in audiobooks, how I got involved in voice acting, and what my inspiration was. There's a couple things that really got me in this. The first one is this book right here. The Hobbit by J.R.R. Tolkien. Actually, technically, if I wanted to get super specific, it's this edition of that book, which was an amazing print in the late 70s, I believe, which has the animated Hobbit cartoon that came out, photographs of that in there. I remember very much, very, very strongly, my father reading to me when I was a kid. Reading out loud to me to put before bed was a big thing every night. You can see just right here behind this horse up on the shelf is The Chronicles of Prydain by Lloyd Alexander, and I'm sure I said Prydain wrong, but that is the book series that the Black Cauldron movie by Disney was based on. And I remember every night he would read to me, and we chowed our way through The Hobbit and those books, The Lord of the Rings, and I became an avid reader because of it. Books became a passion for me in my life. My best friend actually grew up across the street from me. And he developed a passion for writing at the same point that I developed a passion for hearing and expressing and language. I got into acting initially because my parents took me to the Utah Shakespeare Festival every summer, and I fell in love with that art form there, acting in general. And voice acting was just kind of a natural thing for me to segue into. My love of literature, my love of hearing literature read, and even further than that, being able to combine those myself and try to express something. I'm not a very artistic person when it comes to writing. I've never really been able to put a plot together and congeal it, but I do love bringing other people's words to life. And that's one of the great things that I get to do as a voice actor is take other people's dreams and visions and creations and put them together for my and try to help them express them in some way. Um, the truth of it is I just graduated from grad school at Louisiana State University about 6 months ago at the end of May, and I wanted to cast as wide of a net as I could. I want to act in every way I can. So voice acting was a very easy transition for me, and when I found out that there was literally a site that you can sign up for and have people find you to do audiobooks, it was the most exciting thing in the world for me. And I felt so blessed and just lucky to have Rachel reach out and want me to bring her characters to life during this process. So that's a little bit about me. I'm an actor by trade. I'm currently working at the Arvada Center in Denver, Colorado. So if any of you are nearby, we would love to see you in some of the shows. Come check things out next spring. There's 3 shows. I'm in all 3 of them. And then I record in my spare time. I shouldn't say spare time. I set time aside for it. But I record when I'm not at the theater at my house to put that together. As far as my audiobook inspiration goes, the first audiobook I can really remember distinctly was listening to the Harry Potter books. I got into Harry Potter really early, and so I had read all of them, but having Jim Dale actually read and put so much life and character into every single word, and the characters were so distinct and different. So that's kind of when I picked up, and I've listened to a lot since that point. I've been an Audible subscriber for a long time. And my current passion is Brandon Sanderson as an author. I'm a huge fan of this fantasy science fiction genre, as you might have guessed. But I've listened to a lot of things there. If you want to look behind me, I'm sure if you really felt like zooming in, there's Redwall by Brian Jakes, and the Shannara series is in there somewhere. There's just been a lot of those inspirations for me, books I've listened to that really have inspired me over the year. As far as specifics with Winter's Prey, this was kind of it's a step outside my normal genre. I love, as I said, the fantasy books, but this as a historical fiction was a really kind of interesting new take for me, especially with a lot of the characters having very varied backgrounds and very realistic places that they had to come from. As far as my favorite character, it's very difficult for me not to just go with Mark. He's, yes, I would say one of the primary protagonists of the story, but I relate to him in a lot of ways. His voice is probably, I think John's is probably the most similar to my own, but Mark, there's something about spending that much time in a character's voice that just makes them relatable to you. The most difficult was actually probably, and weirdly enough, Joy, because I'm going to be turning 30 soon, and as a close to 30-year-old man trying to nail down the sound of an adolescent girl and really make it sound believable. I don't need to make it sound convincing. I just need to make it sound believable enough that people don't go, there's something wrong there. And that one was one we took a couple takes at. We had to go back in and edit a couple times, and that one evolved as we went in through things as well. But as far as, the process in general goes, I'll tell you my least favorite part is I have to listen to myself a lot. And I don't know how many of you get stuck with this. Is when you hear yourself or see yourself, it tends to be a bit jarring because it's not something you're used to doing. And listening to myself over and over again, there were a couple times where I had potentially been getting a little sick. I was in the middle of running a show. My voice was tired. And I would sit down and make the same mistake with the same piece of text over and over and over and over again. And after 8 or 9 times, you just start getting frustrated with yourself. And it's just a mess. And absolutely was ready to just turn it. And there were definitely some nights where I did. I just said, you know what? We're not getting anywhere more with this. We got to give the lips and tongue and vocal folds, everything a chance to rest up. But as far as my favorite part of the process goes, there's just something about... and this will, I hope this doesn't sound vain, but when I get to, when I'm reading a text, when I'm reading a book, there are very distinct things that hop out to me about how it should sound and how a character should sound or express themselves. And that's me, you know, that's just me making inferences, and a lot of it has to do with the quality of the writing that comes at it. And it's a little bit of a guess. It's a little bit of, I don't know if this is actually going to work. I'm kind of shooting in the dark a lot of the times. And the first time I got an email back from Rachel saying, this sounds exactly like I wanted it to, or this hit exactly the tone I needed, or this felt the way I wanted it to when I had it for me, puts a lot of, I don't know, it just makes you feel good to know you've done a good job and you're satisfying the people who are involved in the process. And it's a very reassuring thing that keeps you going when you go, you know what, no, I know what I'm doing. And yes, I feel blind sometimes. Yes, I don't know what this character is going to sound like. We're just going to see what comes out as I start saying words. But to have that validated and to have people listen and know and respond so positively to what's going on has been a very, very great thing for me. And you know, a lot of that comes along with that idea of finding the character on the page and letting it just happen. I think that's a magical thing for me that I can't necessarily completely explain about the audiobook world, but there's something about reading a section of a character's dialogue that just explodes, and all of a sudden there's a voice that comes out for it. So I think that was those two things, finding characters and being able to just explore that kind of thing and have them jump off the page into my mind. And then knowing that it's like I'm able to meet a dream for an author, because it's been a dream for me too, which has just been an absolute pleasure to work on this entire time. I know I'm rambling. It's almost 12 minutes long. We're going to go over. I hope that it was interesting for you guys to kind of see what I do and how I do it, and learn a little bit about me as an artist. As I said, if there's anyone who has further questions, specifics about the book, specifics about me, please feel free to reach out. You can find my website is www.lanceras.com. There's a comment section on that. If you would like to send me a personal message, I'm sure this will go up on Facebook and potentially on a blog, maybe be loaded up to YouTube in some way. So please reach out. I am more than happy to interact with people and answer any other questions you have. But I'm very excited for you guys to be able to hear this story. It's a wonderful just message and story, and I love this family, and they remind me of my own family in so many ways. So please enjoy the book. I'm very excited that you guys get a chance to listen to it, and I hope that you have a wonderful time. Merry Christmas, all of those things. Thank you so much for supporting Rachel in her endeavors and giving me the opportunity to be part of this project as well.